On the 8th day of Christmas, naming 90s gave to me. 8 20-somethings teeing, 7 poozers swimming, 6 drinks of sherry, 5 punches to the face, 4 malicious rumors, 3 serenity nows, 2 grumpy old men, and a Xena, a warrior princess. Woo!
Bravo!
Yay! Thank you.
Well done.
Welcome to Namely 90s, the podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
Yeah, that's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew. Over there is Brandon, as usual.
That's me.
And you're here on day 8 of our 12 Days of Christmas special. Find us online at namely90s.com or on Twitter at namely90s with the 90s. And now to introduce our guest, over to Brandon.
Today we have some fun gentlemen from across the pond. I gotta stop with the accent, but I did wear, so I wore this is a Dick in the Box 10th Doctor shirt to tie in with Christmas. So we have today Dave and Chris from the VHS Strikes Back, a nostalgic movie review hosted by whatever entertainment team, Dave and Chris. Do you guys want to tell us a little bit more about your podcast?
Go on then, Chris. You're the mouth.
Thanks, Dave. I'm not the singer anymore. So me and Dave, guys, we met about 15, 16 years ago. We were in a band together. I was the gobby one at the front, hiding behind all these wonderful musicians. Dave was the bass player. And we've always kept friends since we left the band, but we'd not really connected properly till a couple of years ago, where I was doing a podcast on gaming and things like that. And Dave came on as a guest. And it was like, Dave wanted to do a podcast about football with a friend of his, and we were talking about it again. And he was like, you know what? I really enjoyed talking together. And we just come up with the idea of another podcast that we do called Comics in Motion, where we just review TVs and movies that are based on comic books. And then we've got a whole network of people now on our channel who just do shows every day, which is so good. But then an offshoot of it was we decided to do one where we would go back from the VHS era, called the VHS Strikes Back, and from 2005 backwards, which around 2005 was when the DVD sales overtook video. And it started off as a project where we were going to review absolute blockbusters. So we started off with Back to the Future and that. And it's descended into me and Dave absolutely shitting on each other every episode. And we just, not every episode, pretty much when we have a pick, we have Patreon picks, but when we have our own picks, it's very rare that we don't pick either the worst martial arts film you've ever seen or some absolute horseshit. But that's what we love. We hate watching them, but we love talking about it. And even our listeners do the same. Some of our patrons have stitched us up. We had to watch one a few weeks ago for Your Height Only. And when I say For Your Height Only, the lead is 2'9", and it's a James Bond Filipino ripoff. And
wow,
it was
so bad.
and it's on YouTube, so you can watch the whole thing. It's unbelievable. So we do that, and then we actually do a reality show now, which is called the CD Chris and Dave's Reality Cast, which we have a lot of American listeners because we cover like Love Island, Bachelorette, Bachelor, Labour of Love. There's loads of different things we've done. It was mainly a Love Island one, but that for some reason is just gone ridiculous, and we actually have weird fan sites now where people listen and love
people
us.
Love that stuff here, obviously, based on our TV
amazing
programming.
So lovely people interacting, but we get put in line because most of our listeners on that show are female, so they definitely put us in check. But
they know what's up.
Yeah, and that's where we are. Me and Dave are originally from the north of England, so I'm from Manchester. Dave's from St Helens, and he lived in Manchester, and that's how we met. So hopefully that was me trying to compress it.
Well, it's perfect that you're here. You said you watch things that you don't enjoy very much, then talk about them, which I think is very appropriate given the episode we watched today.
Yay!
Although I do have to ask. So the first episode I listened to of the VHS Strikes Back was the episode on Mallrats, and I believe it was Chris that didn't care for it.
That's right.
Damn right.
Yeah.
You're damn right.
I was shocked and appalled, but.
Not nearly as much as I was. Ridiculous. If it's not a Rocky movie or it's got Burt Reynolds in it.
Yeah.
If Chris is watching it for the first time in 2020, you better get your tin hat on.
That's got to be hard though to see movies from the 90s when they're. I mean, I remember it as a cult classic, but also I was probably too young to watch it when it came out. So,
but I feel you. I don't like anything. Brandon knows this. I've never watched anything from the 90s, and I don't like anything. And it's like, why am I on a 90s pop culture podcast?
I think my most important question from that was, did you guys watch the extended cut or the original?
It was the original.
Okay. I can see.
Thank God for that.
Right. I mean, I loved it, to be honest, but I did watch it in the 90s. And so, and especially Clerks. I don't know if you've watched Clerks as well. That was his first one.
Yeah.
And you realize that you forgive it a lot because you're transported back into that time and watching it within the context of that time. Whereas I haven't subjected Chris to Clerks yet, but I think as much as you hated Mallrats, Chris, I think you'll hate Clerks even more.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Although masterpiece by everyone's standards. Yep. I mean, my favorite of the entire universe, I think, is Jane Silent Bob Strikes Back, but that was also the first one I watched of the Jane Silent Bob universe, so it's kind of skewed, I guess.
Where should people look for you on social, and where can they find the podcast?
Well, on Twitter and Instagram, it's at VHS Strikes Back. And then if you want to email us, we just say the VHS Strikes Back at gmail.com. And honestly, we're open to suggestions. And we have a Patreon, patreon.com/VHS Strikes Back. And we've got some lovely people who just put up with us, basically. And on a Monday, we have one particular listener, John, who's become a good friend of mine and Dave. And he gives us a full Twitter breakdown of our episode. And he's looking for gems that would go on a VHS cover. And most of them are unprintable. They would definitely not make it to the cinema, but he's such a good guy. But yeah, that's where we are, guys. I appreciate you getting us on today. We're really looking forward to this one.
Yeah,
nice.
That's really awesome. I the fan interaction like that to weekly review and pull out some quotes. That's super cool.
Yeah, I think it started, it was purely a passion project, wasn't it? Because we'd cover things in the Comics in Motion podcast, and then we'd find ourselves drifting off to, reference old 80s and 90s movies and, this is the Rocky moment or something like that. And so we started it off, and we had a Twitter page. I think that was about it, wasn't it, Chris? I think we eventually got onto Instagram, but we didn't really promote ourselves at all. But I think what people like is just that nostalgia about it. So, because before we get into the actual movie, we get into what our actual history was with that movie, where we saw it for the first time, what we were doing at that point in our lives. And I think it just takes other people, transports other people back to that time as well. So we've just organically grown, and as Chris said, the interaction's just brilliant. So it's easy to keep going, isn't it? When you're getting that interaction, people are liking what you're doing, but also feeding back into it as well, giving us ideas.
Yeah.
And also, guys, as well, the top Patreon tier is the McFly. We actually have names. Dave put up some top names. So our review score is not a numbered score. It's a name, as you probably heard, Brandon, when you listen to it. It's a name. It's a 5-point name score system, but it's all names. And we have a McFly, which is the top Patreon, where we're going to go and record a 15-minute podcast. But when we record it, we're going to be in Vegas because it costs, is it £10,000, Dave?
It's whatever the maximum.
Yeah.
It's just a joke one.
Yeah, it's just a joke one, but we're hoping that somebody somewhere is going to be wadded and take us to Vegas to get wasted for like 3 or 4 days.
You should see. You should see if you can record from the Taco Bell cantina in
Vegas. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I did say if someone actually put up that money to take us both to Vegas, I'd be a little bit suspicious of them.
Yeah.
You might leave with one less kidney.
Yeah. Dave's sharing a room with them. Don't worry. Fine.
Well, that's really awesome to hear that, because we started out in May and we're just trying to have a conversation and use the 90s as a springboard to just remember about what we remember, which is nothing for Andrew, and just kind of have a personal interaction with us and with audience members. So that's cool that you guys have found success with it.
Very cool.
So we didn't bring you on to watch a movie. We brought you on to watch a classic 90s teen drama. It's Beverly Hills 90210.
Now, have you guys ever seen this show?
Well, gentlemen, let me tell you, we don't do the reality TV show for nothing. I am a massive reality TV show fan. I'm 42 years old. Me and my wife will sit there and watch anything. Kardashians, Housewives of New Jersey, whatever. And obviously, The Bachelorette. We watch Love Island. I will watch
I can
anything.
tell me and Andrew are going to get on, because Andrew's me.
It is, basically. So I will watch anything. However, my backstory is this, guys. So I'm 42 years old. So when Beverly Hills 90210 came on, about 91, 92, I was about 13, 14. I transitioned from watching the Wonder Years, which I loved, proper coming of age. I mean, you've probably watched it yourself, Fred Savage and that, loved it. Yeah, I loved the Wonder Years. I know it's not in the same bracket as Wonder Years, so I don't mean to blaspheme that show. And then I started watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which I still watch to this day. I love Fresh Prince, mainly because of the family thing and obviously the dynamic of it. I absolutely love it. I watched the recent reunion that was on over in America. Love it. But then I transitioned to Beverly Hills 90210 at the same time, and I will not lie to you guys, I watched probably maybe 7 or 8 series of this, and I loved the fact that Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell, Tiffany Amber Thiessen, came into it. Yeah, and I was in love with her as a teenager, so I always thought she was better than Shannon Doherty. So Absolutely. I've got a fond memory of it because it was a weekly occurrence in my house where I'd sit there on my own and watch it and record it. And watching it now, I'm like, what actual drugs I was on. But anyway, I have a good history. Dave hasn't, have you, Dave? So I don't want to steal your thunder, Dave, but I have a big love flex. I always wanted the same haircut as Jason Priestley.
Nice, yeah. I tried to make my hair as high as Luke Perry's, but I didn't, not to much success.
There's a lot of product, isn't it? They're all putting so much product in their hair.
Oh, it's amazing. Even Brian Austin Green, who ended up with Megan Fox, he's got a super quiff in this episode.
Oh, that's who that is.
True. I was watching this, and at the bottom of Hulu, it was saying up next, and it showed the pilot of Seventh Heaven. I'm like, how are these two things related? I don't understand.
That's really weird. Seventh Heaven has been pushing. Who's been pushing Seventh Heaven on me on Hulu as well? But I've been watching like Buffy and Angel, and then this and Frasier, and I'm like. Huh.
What?
But yeah, did you say Dave has a negative history with Beverly Hills?
So no, I think if I go back to 92, I was a bit anti-establishment back then. So I'd gone through. I used to love things like Saved by the Bell. I think you guys were doing on another episode. So I love stuff like that. But, 92, I was listening to Nirvana. They were sort of coming out around that time. Yeah, Reservoir Dogs just coming out. So I was into watching movies like that, gritty things. And so I'd kind of moved past watching this teeny angst nonsense. But I do remember, you couldn't really escape it because so many people around school were watching it and things, and so you recognize the people and from the adverts and stuff, and I just found it ridiculous. I mean, this episode that we're looking at, Luke Perry's 26, isn't he? And playing someone in high school, it's just ridiculous. But it does. I've never seen this at all, never watched a single episode until today for this, and kind of know why.
For me, Brandon and I were talking about it. Every moment was painful. But at the end, I was like, okay, well, I guess it was a decent story. But the actual act of watching the show was really terrible.
Yeah,
terrible. I just think it's like just starting the episode. Andrew and I also have never seen an episode. I
was 4 when this came out.
Yeah, and we're the same age by 6 months. So I've always heard about it. I always knew that like that was the big teen drama of the 90s. I watched the OC. Like I had the exact same story except 10 years later ish. So that was my teen drama that I watched on Fox. But I mean, I knew that Shannon Doherty was on it. Like all these, just watching the episode, just how young everyone was. I was like, they're babies, but I also recognize that they're 26 to 30 right now.
Right.
But it's just like Tori Spelling, Shannon Doherty, Jeannie Garth. I had a list somewhere, but I seem to have misplaced it. But Luke Perry, R.I.P. I got sucked into Riverdale, and he made a good dad, I have to say.
It's interesting, guys. Sorry to cut across. The genuinely with this, I've watched it thinking what you just said there, Brendan, that how old they all are. And obviously Andrea, who's the one who's always the will she won't do, Jason Priestley in it, who's like the bookworm. She was almost like, I used to love Smallville. She was almost Clark's Chloe, who was there. Really? She was always the one you always thought was going to get with him. And obviously they do in this episode, but I think they do kiss properly within the show. 'Cause this is a ridiculous episode, but she was 30 when this was filmed, and really the whole of Beverly Hills 90210 was a show created by Aaron Spelling for Tori Spelling, which is and she actually apparently auditioned under a different name, and he's like, "Hello, your dad runs a show. You've come and and it's amazing how and you look like your dad." So because it was their production studio was Torrand or something, which was Tori and Randy, the two sons. And why I know that is ridiculous, but it was basically a vehicle for her to get more exposure in the show because she was annoying as fuck, Donna, in this show all the time. Every episode I hated her, but
except for this episode, she was the saving grace, which was interesting. But that's interesting you say that Andrea was 30 at the time of filming, or the actress, because there's this Family Guy joke that I remember from way back when. I think it was on the Stewie Griffin The Untold Story when Family Guy did that straight to DVD episode when they were off the air for a year or two. And they cut to the Peach Pit, which is where everyone hangs out in Beverly Hills 90210, and it's all the young cast members, and then it pans over to the end of the table and it's on Andrea, and she's like an elderly woman with like a hearing phone thing, and she's like, "This place used to be all peach groves." It's just, now I finally understand the reference, because I could never tell exactly. I was like, Shannon Doherty wasn't that old, was she?
No, it was interesting, guys, because I researched it and I didn't realise what a bitch Shannon Doherty was. They dropped her after the full series because she got too big for her boots. I didn't even realise that, and really? That's why
it seemed natural. To you at the time, the main character just disappears from the show after the 4th series.
No, we got Kelly Kapowski coming then, didn't we? That's Saved by the Bell, so I was more than happy with her.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Tori Spelling, I was looking at the cast or the series regulars. I think she was the only one to have a title main character all the way through 10 seasons of this show.
Oh, an accomplishment.
Yeah.
She's also the one who doesn't look that different now to what she does then. She's kind of
that's true.
She's kind of grown into her face, kind of thing.
Yeah. Her body's definitely caught up with her large hair and head.
I'll be honest, guys. Me and my wife used to watch a reality show with her husband, and he cheated on her as well.
Wow, really?
It. Sorry, yeah. While the show was being filmed as well, we were proper into it. I'm so sorry.
Wow, that's a move. That's a move. Just one more fun fact I found, or actually I have 2 more. It's responsible for the 90s sideburn here in America. Apparently Luke Perry and who's the other guy?
Jason Priestley.
Jason Priestley, yeah. Their sideburns were so powerful. Every man in America wanted to have sideburns like that.
Not just in America.
Is that why I still have mine?
Yeah, well,
Nice. Nice.
Hey, Brandon, it wasn't just in America. I had them sideys as well. Don't you
Yes, that's awesome. And then one last interesting bit I found was that in the first season episode, Spring Dance, Brenda, Shannon Doherty's character, loses her virginity to Dylan, and parents were offended by the fact that Brenda had no serious consequences for having teen premarital sex. So they,
And for not showing remorse.
yeah, for not showing, yeah. So they wrote into the station. We're very repressed here in America, just for the sexual stuff, and eventually it forced them to put a pregnancy scare in the second season.
Oh my word!
Just to make them feel, just to make the Christian housewives at home feel better.
Bill
my
Gates
God.
is snorting coke, or that's all fine.
Yeah.
And then the character would do something crazy too.
No, it's just that was such a different time. It's like, I mean, how old were they in that show? Like, they were allegedly 17, probably, about that.
The season we watched, I think they were seniors in high school.
So 17, 18. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a different time now.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And you know what, guys? I know, like we say, I've never watched, but watching it and just watching the start's tremendous. I used to love that start when they're all together with the music and that. I know the episode's terrible, but I love the intro.
My note was it's a 90s intro to the max.
I'm a huge fan of like the long 90s intro with the candid shots of the people as it says their name at the bottom. But when they look at the camera and raise their eyebrows, like that's just, I can't.
Wait, I thought that's exactly what you were describing. Like, because he's every episode so far, he's like, I really love the 90s intro. Or I think it was ER. He's like, I love the 90s intro where they're like, look at the camera.
I misspoke. I don't like when they look at the camera. I like when it's just a candid shot of them doing something.
Okay.
But when they look at the camera is when it goes too far. Sorry, I did misspeak on that.
I think that's a hangover from the 80s.
Absolutely.
It's like
I think they
that's
did
true.
that a lot in the 80s as well.
They would
Hopefully
have like their arms
towards-
crossed and turn towards the camera and smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, the A-Team. It reminds me of the A-Team, but they didn't do that.
Have a little
quite as much,
sparkle
so.
from the teeth.
Well, it's good. I mean, the show started in
1990.
Yeah, 1990. And like Saved by the Bell has a similar intro, just not as long. Because the kids will turn and stare at the camera. I guess it's a little bit more flashy. But yeah, and the song was really good too. I got caught up in that. So for everyone that's listening, the episode we watched was season 3, episode 16. It's a Totally Happening Life. Two angels look on as Andrea gets good news and bad news in the mail. Brandon gets bad news in person. Kelly, Brenda, and Dylan try a mature approach to their triangular friendship, and all head for disaster en route to a Christmas party for underprivileged kids.
I do think it's funny you stumbled over the Andrea thing. I remember I used to listen to Loveline in like the 2000s. I don't know if you guys know of this show. It was a show with Dr. Drew Pinsky and Adam Carolla. It was on American radio for a long time. It was on MTV for a bit.
Radio.
And the people would call in named Andrea, and then Adam Carolla would say, "Okay, we've got Andrea over here," and they'd be like, "Actually, it's Andrea," and he would just like hit the ceiling. it was funny. Oh man, I remember that.
So the opening scene, that's just straight It's a Wonderful Life, right? I've not watched it in a while, but the two just like black and white stars coming together, except this one had a purple star.
I had never seen it, but I didn't realize the guy from that was the same guy as from Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which I had to watch once.
Jimmy Stewart?
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Which Tori Spelling's Donna missed. No, was it who?
Wait, Tori Spelling was in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington?
No,
it's like the 1940s or 30s or something.
Kelly mistook Jimmy Stewart for
Cary Grant.
Cary Grant, yes. But yeah, I don't know where to start on this episode because I took a page and a half of notes. My first question was, is that the same high school courtyard as they used in Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Since I just watched that recently.
Nice.
I feel like there's one courtyard they use in California for every exterior high school shot. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was the same one they used in Brink too. Just saying.
I don't know if you guys have watched Cobra Kai at all.
Oh,
Brandon sure has.
There was something
I absolutely love that.
About one of the houses they were in later on. I wasn't sure if that house looked incredibly similar, you know, with the arched doorway.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh,
I can. I hear him just fine.
No, Dave. Dave's.
Oh, Dave, I didn't see that.
Dave, can you hear us?
Me?
Yeah, I hear him just fine.
Sorry, I saw you waving.
Am I back?
This is good.
No.
No, he was saying the
arched doorway. Not like, help, I can't hear you.
Sorry. Sorry, everyone. On my second monitor, I have the...
This is going in, by the way. This is going right into the podcast.
This is
It's like one on the blooper reel list, yeah.
Yeah, nope. We cut out the intro joke bumper for... our beautiful singing earlier. Okay, so
yeah, usually it's just me saying it, somewhat incriminating things out of context. That's typically what we do.
My favorite. So arched doorway. Sorry.
So Daniel, I from Cobra Kai. It looks like his house, and I'd have to watch them back to back. But when I saw it, I thought, is that just the same set, and they just kind of roll that out each time?
Yeah. There are common locations throughout, Southern California that they use in a variety of shows. You'll recognize, like, oh yeah, that's that house they use in that other show. It's kind of pretty typical, I think.
Yeah, I was thankful, having not seen the show before, that we had an episode where where the two angels, I guess, explained who everyone is in the intro, just so I got like a primer.
That was helpful.
Yeah.
You know what though, guys? It felt like me and Dave do voiceovers for movies, so we've done a couple on our YouTube channel, not like for official stuff, but we've done like No Retreat, No Surrender, things like that, and we talk over them and like a watch along. And this is what this felt like watching it. It felt like the two people were not even anyway connected to this actual storyline. Just like two people stumbled into a studio and thought, fuck it, I'll just do a bit of talking here and make a story up. Because I found that they were tripping over the actors when they were talking. The editing didn't really go with the story, and the voices didn't go at all, because I thought they told a terrible episode.
Oh yeah, framed poorly, which I think was a joke that they were going for, but I don't think that counts for.
Oh, and the time jumps. These holiday episodes, it's either like multiple stories or time jumps. They're just not very linear. And this one was the same. Yeah. But I feel like you're right. Was it like they were sort of being surveilled by the angels, so the cameras, the angles and framing were a little bit weird? Is that what I was sensing?
Yeah. And knowing the actual show, which came back to me pretty quick, I actually think I don't even remember watching this. As much as I claimed at the start, I did watch all of them. I must have just totally not watched this on VHS when it came out or when I recorded it, because I genuinely wouldn't have watched this nonsense.
My note is, can you imagine being a proper fan of the show and being forced to watch this Christmas episode where they explain everything going on? Like, that must have been painful for you.
And thank you. Yes, for the first half of the episode, I was like, is that Danny DeVito doing the Clarence voice?
I had to stop and Google to make sure that wasn't Danny DeVito, because that was the height of Danny DeVito, like early 90s, right?
That's absolutely what I thought.
Was that a Danny DeVito short joke? That was the height of Danny DeVito.
No, but
sorry,
pun now intended.
Sorry, shocking.
Let's see. I have.
Was the teacher? The teacher was kind of a creep, wasn't he?
Yeah. What was going on with the teacher? Because
the teacher looks about 2 years older,
right? Right.
Yeah. He's actually younger. The actor, no, I don't know. I'm not sure.
He looks it, doesn't he?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Honestly, Andrew, I think you're right. When he had the beard and he was going to shave, I'm like, you actually look like they're older than you. Jason Priestley looks about 3 years older than him. And obviously, Andrea was literally his mother's age. There was no way he was 30 odd, that teacher. Because when Steve, the one character that always pissed me off was Steve, Ian Ziering. He used to annoy the fuck out of me because he was, the one who was, he was in Sharknado, wasn't he? And he's the one who's, he's just absolutely the rich kid with the Corvette, and he used to annoy me so much. That's smarmy, and you know what you were saying before, Brandon? I think him and Brian Austin Green, they were with Tori Spelling from the start to the end. I'm sure that maybe. I'm sure they were there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I might have been exaggerating a bit, but there were only 2 green lines that I saw go all the way through.
Yeah, I love reading Brandon's notes here because they just make me laugh. Like, one of the ones is they're talking about how, it's not that far away. The fact that they're long distance relationship. She's just moving to San Francisco. Brandon writes here, San Francisco is 6 hours away. Like, that's without traffic. It's just San Francisco. Yeah. Oh man. And then my other favorite is when Brandon's mom walks into the room as they're like making out, and your note just says, Brandon's mom is really cool about his son rounding second in front of her.
She does seem proud, doesn't she? She doesn't like close the door and go, "Oh, sorry." She just stands there,
she's like,
awkwardly.
Nice.
Which I guess stems back to that first season episode where they didn't shame Brenda for being a healthy sexual teenager.
No, can I admit something in that scene as well, guys? I'll be honest with you. It looked quite passionate, and I may have looked at Jason Priestley's crotch to see if he actually was around.
I had to look too.
Yes, me as well.
Thank you.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. Dave's the only one.
No, I think the thing is the mom wasn't actually, the actor that played the mom was actually younger than the actress playing
the girlfriend. Also after so let's see, Brandon gets broken up with, Andrea gets broken up with, but after Brandon gets broken up with, Brenda comes in to talk to him, and they didn't seem like they were siblings. They seemed like they were like ex-lovers, honestly. There was like a strange sexually charged moment, and I'm just like, I'm not feeling well right now. Maybe I was reading into it, having not been a fan.
I mean, sure, certain parts of America, but not Southern California at the time.
They did move from somewhere else to Southern California.
Minnesota, because they're supposed to be twins. They're supposed to be twins, so they did share a womb together. So maybe that's where the connection is.
But
it's all a big Game of Thrones, isn't it?
Yeah, my note is twin chemistry or sexual chemistry? ?
They must be the most mismatched twins we've ever seen. It's just nothing like each other at all.
They're 2 attractive 20-somethings. They're definitely twin teenagers. That makes sense.
Yeah. Brendan and Brenda.
No one will question it. It's not like they had actual twins playing a single person in Full House. At the same time.
well, a bit of, you know what, this is so bad, all this, because this is coming back to me, but Gabrielle Carterese, who plays Andrea, she was actually a twin, and she went for the role of Brenda and didn't get it, and they give her Andrea because she said, I'm actually a twin, it might work for me because I'll understand the context of having a twin brother. And I'm sorry that I know all this, but it's all coming back to me so bad. This
that's bad. Amazing. That's I'm glad we have someone on here that actually watched Beverly Hills 90210.
I just love this note too. God, Dylan has a 5 head. Why are 2 hot women in love with him?
Yeah, so I was going to ask that. So as our resident expert, I guess, Chris, Brenda, Dylan, and Kelly, it already seems like a bit of a menage a trois there. Right. Yeah. I mean, what is that an ongoing thing throughout the series or what?
Look, Dave, Luke Perry was the man. I must admit, watching him this time, he didn't half remind me of his brother Chandler, because a year later, 2 years later, we got Chandler. Some of his mannerisms when they were having a go at him in the bedroom.
I thought he was Chandler, yeah.
Yeah, they kept smouldering, didn't he, when he was on the back of the bus? His hair had the highlights, he had the quiff, but he was always got a receding hairline like Ian Ziering as well. They're supposed to be 17 and they've already started losing the fucking hair. It never made sense at all. But Luke Perry was actually supposed to be a bit part character who come in as a guest over the first series, and then Aaron Spelling fought for him, and he become the phenomenon. He used to go to book signings and have shops, malls shut down, girls chasing him. Even at my school in the UK, the girls loved him. He was the man, Luke Perry.
I feel like he overshadowed Jason Priestley too.
Yeah, well, Jason Priestley was a boring bastard, wasn't he, really, in the show? He was a good-looking guy, but he was always the stiff, wasn't he?
He had the sort of James Dean look about him, though, didn't he? It was the same at my school. I remember the girls always used to go mad for Luke Perry.
Well, I thought they both had like different James Dean aspects to them. Like Jason Priestley had like the classic. Wait, I'm confusing it in my head. Yeah. One of them had the Rebel Without a Cause look. The other one was more...
I feel like there was definitely, with Luke Perry, there was like a tight pants, billowy, tucked-in shirt situation going on. Was that not?
I thought that was a jacket. Like I thought it was like a leather jacket, but it was just a shirt. I'm like, huh.
That tent-like approach is how we wore shirts in the 90s, though. You know, pull it out as far as you can go. Give it that real clown look.
Throw it over your Jinko jeans. So we in an earlier episode of our specials, we watched Batman, the animated series, Christmas with the Joker, which is also an episode where they really just lay on It's a Wonderful Life. And I'm just wondering, do writers not have any other ideas? Like,
I guess it's an easy sell, isn't it? I mean, it's supposed to be that I haven't watched it for years and years, and I'm not in love with it like a lot of people are. But I guess if they want to, do something familiar for people, they don't actually want to invent a Christmas special because they're too focused on the real stories. But if you're going to do a Christmas special, it is a little bit throwaway. So I can kind of see why they go to that, but I can't think of anything more recent that has borrowed from It's a Wonderful Life. It might just be a generational thing where, the writers are now too young to really go back to It's a Wonderful Life. They've watched other stuff.
Could have been if you actually sat down and watched this with your kids, could have been like a shout out to the generation that would understand it.
I think there's a certain amount of people like, I love this movie. Just because it's like they have to, it's tradition that they cram it down their throat every year. But like, why is everyone shouting at each other in these 1930s movies? I think it's maybe like the mics couldn't pick a lot of stuff up, but like everyone's yelling and I don't understand why.
You know what? This week we've just done Home Alone. Actually, we haven't recorded it yet, have we, Chris?
No.
But we've watched it to review. And they have that old black and white movie. So when it's got the It's a Wonderful Life bits in it, I'm thinking back to Snakes. And Chris, you do the accent better than me. Go on, give us an impression.
Oh no, I've found the pressure now.
I know.
What is it?
It's not on your show. It's much easier to do it. No stakes.
I'm gonna give you. I can't even do it now. I'm gonna give you to the count of 10. 1, 2, 10.
You know what? Chris did it brilliantly last week.
I did not listen.
That was shit.
Yeah, it was shit. I can't remember the dialogue now. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Also, I just realized I have Jeannie Garth written down like all throughout my notes. It's Jenny Garth.
Yeah, Jenny.
Close enough.
Yeah.
I do like. Unless you're gonna, I don't know if you're gonna mention this one, but I want to because we're running out of time. The thing you said you appreciated Donna at the end there because you don't think people liked her character, but you were kind of rooting for her in this episode. And I'm with you. Like everyone flaking out was kind of pissing me off. Like I was really upset about it.
Yeah, you're going. So after all of the personal things that happened in the episode between the characters, they're all upset at each other essentially, except for Donna, who didn't get featured in this episode except for putting together some sort of Christmas fundraiser for poor elementary school. And so Donna's trying to get everyone on the bus to go to the events, and everyone's coming to her with like an hour to a half hour left before they leave and saying, yeah, I'm just not feeling really well right now. Why don't you ask Brenda why I'm not going to come? Yeah, and it's just like you're supposed to be doing this for charity for underprivileged children. I understand.
Like, no.
I understand that you're teenagers, but you're also 20-something actors, so it doesn't sell it as well.
And then the principal, I was like, I like this lady. I like that whole sequence where she like brought him into the office and was like, you're going. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
There was a long line of people that would have gone instead of you had you given us notice.
But to be fair, the underprivileged kids, there's nothing better than a 17-year-old man boy in a $40,000 Corvette getting them all to stand on one leg. It works every time, that. When I realised how much I hated him when I watched it, and I was like, you were such a dick.
But it was like endearing that he was somehow really good with the kids, even though he's like the troublemaker, you know?
The troublemaker. And the teacher who gets paid to look after kids couldn't control 5 or 6, 8-year-old children. Yeah, it made really perfect sense, that, yeah.
Well, I mean, I get that teacher was insulting another student. Like he couldn't handle 6 to 8 kids, as you said. He was really creepy.
And I just to say, on the way there, the whole garbage truck thing was like kind of a lame story device. And when it was going to hit the bus, I was hoping for some actual carnage there, and it just like passes through. Come on!
I
disgusted.
Where did I write? I wrote down. I feel like if that truck is going the wrong, no. I had the perfect note for it. Where is it? And did you see it? No, I don't remember, but okay.
I feel like if the truck is going the wrong way on a one-way, there would be a stop sign on both sides of the cross street. The other thing is like
for ages, doesn't it? You just see it.
The video of him drinking, it's just them replaying the same clip. Over and over again.
Yeah, it's just stock footage from another film. And I think as well, I was thinking at this point, is this Tori Spelling's big thing to go, you know what, I hate Luke Perry, Jason Priestley, I'm going to get my dad to take all these bastards out. Was that why she was on the bus? Because she wanted her own Beverly Hills 902 when I was the lead. Because it was bizarre. And the fact that we had this whole weird crossover, like terrible special effect thing, I was like, right, okay. And then they all look, don't they, out Jason Priestley, like, oh, what's just happened? It's like,
it phases through the bus like. Someone had to have seen a garbage truck just phase through a bus like that.
Even the angels are confused by it. They're like, what's happened? Oh, it must have been a higher power.
I found it. My first note is, if someone actually dies in this episode, I will shave my beard. Followed by when Donna's like giving the rousing speech in the middle of the bus because Tori Spelling needed something to do in this episode. I wrote, I hope Donna dies while standing in the middle of the bus.
You know what? It's very good. I kept thinking, all these lot are dead, even Luke Perry. No one's got a seatbelt on. I was thinking it as he was driving up towards him. I don't know why. I missed the safety. I'm thinking of like the children. You can't do this, but
what Brandon didn't say. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Do you not know about this, about American buses, American school buses for children? We don't have seatbelts.
There's no seatbelts.
Oh, in there?
No.
Even now?
Nope.
I think it's a thing now in some areas, but no, it's like, it's really bad.
When we were growing up, you just like, if you hit a bump, you just like fly across the cabin.
Yeah, not smart. But I do think your note here that like the truck probably goes on to careen into like a bus full of underprivileged kids, and they're just like, nah, they don't look pretty enough. We're not going to televise that.
Like the garbage truck is still going at like 40, 50 miles an hour down a one-way road.
Away.
Yeah. Like, he's still drinking to this day, that guy.
Yeah.
He's just, it's like in Doctor Who, Captain Jack Harkness becomes immortal because someone wanted him to live once after he died. This truck driver, he gets phased, and he's now phased for the rest of eternity. He's just driving endlessly through the rest of the world until until the world ends. He's just going to keep driving, phasing through people and driving.
I just love that, like, they saw him going the wrong way, and someone was like, hey, you're going the wrong way. Like, oh, wow, effective.
Yeah.
I'm sure he heard you in his garbage truck.
Good effort.
It could have been a homage, this, and we don't realise, to Ghost, because this was out at the same time. Patrick Swayze tried to punch a few people and went through the bodies. It could be a subliminal message. I could be making that up, but that's
the blue electric lightning. Wasn't that also in Ghost?
Also, why was the garbage truck driver driving on like residential surface streets if he wasn't collecting trash? If he's going back to the depot, shouldn't he be on the 405 or something? And getting off at like an industrial yard? I don't understand.
He should be taking the 405 to Reseda, to the 113, to the 27.
No, he's just like driving around a bunch of like residential school zones for no apparent reason while not collecting any trash.
We need the backstory of this guy, don't we? There are just too many questions.
Yeah.
No, what you don't realise is they dyed his hair brown, and the next series he came in as one of the students.
Yeah, probably.
That's a visual gag for everyone. So watch the video version of our podcast so you see how old the bus driver was.
There's your reboot right there.
Yeah.
He's reformed himself. He's gone through AA, and he's starting over as a teacher at the same school.
But he's still phasing through everything.
Yeah. It turns out he's been dead this whole time.
Well, we all know what happened in The Sixth Sense. You know what I mean? You've got
maybe
Who knew the garbage truck guy would be such a topic here?
If he had a cameo in The Sixth Sense, that would be awesome. Yeah, we completely skipped over. Well, not completely skipped over, but we skipped over the Dylan, Brenda, Jenny love triangle. We skipped over Andrea and Brandon kissing. I did not understand how them kissing and then immediately stopping and claiming the other one was thinking of their like ex while they were making out.
That was weird, wasn't it?
It was really weird. I didn't get it. I was like, did I miss something?
Yeah. Like I was watching that scene. How would either of them think that?
And instantly know what each other one is thinking. Yeah, Chris, do you have any context? What was going on there?
I don't know. I was hoping for a freeway and we got full calls, so no.
Yeah, I was sort of disinterested in the whole storyline, like all of the like love drama. I
was interested in the Dylan love triangle because I was Team Brenda for some reason. I just latched onto it. Shannon Doherty has a magnetism about her, even though she can be a massive. Yeah. And I don't know. I was rooting for her and Luke Perry to work it out.
I'm with you. I was Team Brenda for some reason. I can't tell you why.
Yeah, I think Jenny just came off as too much of an airhead.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
If that's even her name.
Also, it was a terrible plan, but I think you need to mention your last point because that's my favorite, and I'll let you have that one.
Okay, my final thought for the episode was I hate that I actually enjoyed that episode. Clearly, I just have Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. No, it is weird. You start these episodes, or I start them, and I'm like, nope, I can't. It was like Bottom when we watched that show. I turned it on and I was like, this is not for me. And then at the end of it, I was like, okay.
Spoilers for 2 episodes from now. We'll be watching Bottom and having the Insanely Dangerous Retro Prod show come on.
It's a Christmas time traveling miracle.
Yeah. I don't know what day it is. I'm so bad at this. Brandon's like, I'm facepalm.
I'm really glad that we have another UK podcast on and they also think that Bottom, the Christmas
I was laughing out loud at that Christmas special. I'm just going to say it was good.
No, I'm just saying like we had never heard of the series before.
Yeah.
And I was like hesitant to be like, oh yeah, we could replace Walker Texas Ranger with that.
You've replaced Chuck Norris with Bottom.
Yeah. Well,
no,
fair trade.
Well, I'm sure I'll talk about it in that episode, but it was really hard to find any Walker Texas Ranger because it's having a reboot in January on the CW. And
really?
There's no digital format for downloading. There's no if you try to buy the DVD, they send you the wrong DVD. I could not get the Christmas episode where Chuck Norris fights 12 Santas.
I just assumed that Conan O'Brien still owned the rights or something to all the video.
Yeah.
Dave, I bet we could find it. We'll have to investigate that one.
Yeah.
I will tune in if you guys find
I am a big fan of like police procedurals from the 90s that featured a lot of martial arts. Like that was so cool back then.
Yeah.
That's some of our sweet spots, isn't it? Have you guys seen Kung Fury at all?
That's the one with the cow that does kung fu.
Triceratops. So no, it's a guy from Sweden. He was into all his special effects and everything, and he just crowdfunded this. It's a take off an 80s action movie, and he goes, oh no, sorry, Adolf Hitler comes into the present, and he's the Kung Führer. And so they have to have a kung fu fight. But it is just pure 80s goodness, but all done in CGI. It's all done fairly recently. It's up there free on YouTube. It's 30 minutes. It's brilliant. Highly recommend it.
That sounds like what I'm going to be watching this afternoon.
Speaking of 30 minutes, we're at 46.
Yeah, so any final thoughts on Beverly Hills 90210?
If you don't mind, I'd go first, guys. I'm 42. I've got grey hair. I've still got the hair, and I always will want that quiff of Jason Priestley's. Not Luke Perry, because it was receding. And Jason Priestley was the man just for the hair.
That's fair.
I think for me, it is just clearly, it is about the most 90s thing I've watched in a long time. It just oozes 90s. Like I say, I was never a watcher of it, but you couldn't avoid it at the time. And I'm glad I finally watched an episode, and that will probably be my last episode that I watch.
The worst episode is the one that you've seen.
2 words, never again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. For me, I did like it. I thought it was a terrible story, bad framing device. The sudden, with 10 minutes left, introduction of the truck that's going to careen into the school bus.
Horrible fashion and hair, 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yeah. No, I just. Everything in my head, like on paper, I would think, no, I should not watch this. But at the end, I found that I enjoyed myself and was strangely invested in the Brenda Dillon relationship, or Brenda Dillon Kelly relationship, and not on Andrea or Brandon's though. Oh, also, I forgot to. One final thought from me, Brandon. I had to pause the episode and Google when the first episode of Beverly Hills 90210 came out, just in case that my parents named me after a character on the show. Luckily, I was a year ahead. So,
Good man.
And that's it for this holiday edition of Namely 90s. Thank you so much to Dave and Chris from the VHS Strikes Back and Comics in Motion and so many other things for coming on. You guys want to tell our listeners where to find you, when to find you, all of those good things?
Am I on, Dave? So, yep. So on the VHS Strikes Back on Twitter, at VHS Strikes Back, all podcast catching apps, guys. Comics in Motion podcast on all podcast catching apps, and Chris and Dave's Reality Cast, same format. Everything, we're available everywhere. If you're not sick of us by now, you will be by watching all them at the end of it. So, and also thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute blast.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, if you do ever want to go down the Chuck Norris route, I am available for selection. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah,
we'll have you back next year if we find the time to do this again.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
This is a brilliant project that you guys are doing. It's really good.
It is. It's funny.
Yeah.
Yes, I brilliantly had Brandon come up with it and completely orchestrate it.
Yeah, so. he shows up, but I'm happy that he does. You can always find us on Twitter at Namely90s with a 90s, or find our personal accounts at bschwitty and at NamelyAndrew to wish us a merry happy. You can also contact us through our website, Namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, Be Kind Rewind, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcasts at. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew. Thank you one final time to Chris and Dave from the VHS Strikes Back, Comics in Motion, and Chris and Dave's Reality Cast.
Yes, thank you.
And we will catch you tomorrow.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.